that.
What were your conversations like with Ernest before you?
Just the appreciation, and I talked to him on the night it happened, and just kind of went back that we'll be connected forever, and we won a Super Bowl together. My first year as an inside backers coach was his rookie year. We drafted him, and we'll be connected forever together, and anything he needs down the line, I'm always here for him.
Obviously, that changes things, I would imagine, with where's the green dot now. Just how do you look at that as far as possible candidates to fill that role?
Yeah, we'll probably keep it in the linebacker room, but we're still looking at it, and we're going to see. It's good to get out there today and try it out, and we'll see what happens.
Is there something about the linebacker room that you feel like works with that responsibility?
Yeah, typically, just being in the middle of the defense, it's the easiest. They're the guys that are connected to the front, on the both. But we've had them, had safeties had it in the past. JJ's actually, I think, had it before. I know Weddle had it. So, it's a possibility, so we'll see.
What is it have you seen from Troy Reader through the years? I mean, you saw him when he came in.
No doubt, yeah.
Come back.
Yeah, he's just a consistent guy. No matter what, consistent demeanor. Rarely makes a mistake. Very, very smart. Very, very above the neck. It's like having a coach. It's like having a coach on the field. Really always enjoyed working with them, and excited to continue to do that.
Did you? He has been consistent, but did you see him take like a step forward at all coming into this particular camp, or is he just?
He had a good camp. I don't know if it was necessarily a step forward from how he's always played. He wasn't here last year in camp, so he never necessarily, he kind of started getting sprinkled in kind of throughout the season and stuff like that. But yeah, he had a good camp. He played fast. He plays hard and kind of the same as he's always been, just like Gary said.
From a leadership standpoint, who are some of the guys you look to, maybe particularly Quentin and Kobe, guys who were voted team captains?
Yeah, absolutely. You pointed right at it, Stu. Those two guys, well-deserving, voted by the team as captains, and I think they'll take that role very seriously, and I think they're ready for that role, and they've earned it with their play on the field and just how they prepare themselves and who they are and what they bring to the locker room. So really excited about those two.
Besides those characteristics, what else stands out about just the leadership between
the types of people those guys are. I mean, Quentin Lake, I think about his rookie year. I was actually coaching defensive backs that year, and we drafted him, and he was injured. And I don't know if he came back till – he didn't do OTAs, didn't do training camp, didn't come back till about week 10 that year, but he was involved in the whole defense, every meeting, staying there late at night, studying it, making sure he was ready when his opportunity got called. And, Kobe, since the day he's got here, has been that consistent, hard-working guy. Obviously he was kind of under AD's wing, and now I think he's taken that role to kind of mentor the D-line. I think both those guys are kind of wise beyond their years.
Every year is different, but when you think back to the team that lost in Detroit in that playoff game, you guys are headed back there again. Is there anything that stands out to you about the differences in those teams?
Yeah, you're right. It is a different year. I think just like you said, where no matter what, whether we won or lost last year, I think it would be a different year, and I know it's the same for them. So different team, and there's going to be turnover on each team. That's just the nature of this league, and so you got to prove yourself every year, and we know that, and they know that as well.
Do you see some of the energy that we saw in the locker room at the end of last year carry over into the season?
There's really good energy, and whether it's carried over or not, we'll see. But it was definitely throughout camp and stuff. There's definitely a bounce in the step. Some of the young guys on defense, I think, kind of like to bring the juice every day. Obviously, we got some new faces and stuff. So yeah, it's different, but I'd like to think there's still really good energy, just like last year.
Chris, earlier this week, Darius started working back in a little bit more. How is he looking so far, and what is it like to have him back?
It's great to have him back. Just that veteran presence on the outside. Great demeanor about him. He's been. It feels like in the meeting rooms he's been so locked in. So it's not like he hasn't been around at all. But definitely good to see him move around a little bit out there.
What's it like for you as a coordinator to have Verse and Fisk, two young guys that are going to have big roles? It seems like from the outset. You weren't able to see them in preseason games, but now with the opener coming, how are you processing that?
Yeah, you got to trust the process, Gary. I was talking to him about it. I was just talking to Fitz the other day. He's ready to stop watching from the sideline, ready to get out there and actually play. And trust the process that we've done here really since I want to say 2018 when we've played our starters till that first game. And that's what we use those joint practices for. We try to make it as realistic as possible when we go out to practice and get these guys ready to go. And you'd like to think those guys up front that's a little more realistic for them, you know, as far as a lot of the tackles that they make aren't necessarily in space and stuff like that. So, you know, they're still wearing pads and having to get off blocks and things. So hopefully that's able to translate.
You have time for one more?
Braden is quiet, but it seems like he has a little bit of an edge to him. I noticed in Houston he was the one guy who didn't go into the cold room.
I did not know that.
So what is his toughness? Does he have a little bit of an edge?
He definitely has an edge to him. He's a tough guy. You know, him and Verse are, you know, both bring that. You saw it from his tape. You know, you see his personality when you watch his college tape. You almost barely, before you meet him, you know exactly how he's going to be. And, you know, he loves the game, and he's passionate about it, and shows up every day and plays really, really hard. And, you know, we love him for that.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, appreciate you guys.
It's a little hotter out here.
How's Puka looking so far in his first week back?
Good. He came in such tremendous shape. You know, just going into his second year, not taking the summer off, came in such good shape as we've documented in the spring, helped him get into the summer, and he just never stopped. You know, so he was a leg up on a lot of guys. You know, because just how he works. So him going down, it's just going to get used to getting back into the swing of things. But not worried about him at all. He's too good of a competitor.
Is he we see only a portion of practice now. Is he practicing fully or expected to practice fully at some point this week?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what his exact status is in terms of what the league knows and all that, but, you know, I think he'll be good to go.
What's it like being in a new facility right before the first week of football?
It's, you're seeing the same people, you know, so, I mean, that there's familiarity in that, you know, obviously, but it's good to be here. It's I know a lot of guys, the players, and then everyone that put in a lot of work to get this thing going, so it's unique, obviously, doing it in August, but, hey, we're here to work and get our job done.
Offensive line injuries have been kind of a theme of camp. Go in with 8 guys on the active roster. Just how are you comfortable with that number going into week 1?
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. It's, you know, I mean, those things are going to happen, and every year some group's going to get hit a little bit more. And on our squad right now, it's our corners and our O-line. So everyone figures it out. We'll figure it out, you know, and got a lot of guys that wouldn't get all those reps that we, you know, talked about a month ago are getting those reps. So, you know, we'll figure it out. We'll be good to go.
You guys are starting your season in the same place last year ended. What do you remember from that game?
I've been told it was really loud up in the box. It was like soundproof, so I couldn't hear anything up there. I was just watching, you know, what I thought was 2 really good teams competing against each other at the highest level, you know, and obviously they came out on top. They're a good football team, and we were a good football team that day, and they just ended up having a little bit more. It's going to be a great atmosphere going back in there, and I know our guys will be ready.
Is there anything, obviously he's got a long resume of doing a lot, but is there anything you'd like to see Matt Stafford do this season that maybe we haven't seen before?
Just enjoy it, you know, and he's always done that at a high level. I hope just every year, every game, every minute he's out there, he can just enjoy it a little bit more, because what he's doing is so special. At his age, to be playing the way that he's playing, and the joy he brings to not just us as coaches, but those other players, you know, they feed off of that. So I hope for him he can just go do that, because it is pretty special that he's out there doing what he's doing.
You've been here 2 years now. What have you seen in terms of Logan Bruss starting to turn it around?
Just continue to get better. You know, he just hasn't stopped. When it looked like it maybe was not going to work out for him, and he knows that, he just kept pushing through. And those are the really cool ones right there, where you're not sure. The player's not sure, which you never want as a coach to see a player, you know, have to go through that. And for him to just keep battling last year, behind the scenes, you know, on the practice squad, doing it, you know, in the scout team fashion, and then him to be able to get his opportunities, he's one that's really benefited from the injuries we've had, and it's shown.
About halfway through this training camp, I walked out here and noticed he was smiling, laughing. He looked like he felt good. At what point did you see that confidence flip a switch?
You know, I don't know the exact date, but I know what you're saying, because I saw it in his face as well back at you know, at Loyola. You know, so it's again, you're happy for the guy, and at some point he's going to have his opportunity on the Sunday, and he's put in the work, and you know, we have the confidence that he's going to be able to get that done.
What did you guys like about Cody Schrader?
Really liked him coming out. He was extremely productive at Missouri for those 2 years. I believe it was Truman State before that D2 school, and I think it's in Missouri, and then to transfer to the big show, if you will, and be as productive as he was. I thought Les and his team did a great job of just seeing the talent right there, and John McKay and Les seeing that yesterday, that he hit the wire, and anything we can do to improve the 53, they're going to do, and kudos to those guys.
Sean told us yesterday that Kyren's going to be returning punts for you guys this year. Any concern on your end about possible injury?
Anytime you can put the ball in a guy's, a playmaker's hands, you're going to be happy about it, So if 23's touching the ball, it's good for the Rams.
So you don't hold your breath at all when that ball is in the air? And
I always hold my breath when the ball's in the air on a kickoff or punt, no matter. I was with Devin Hester in 15, and you still did it, but when it gets in their hands, a lot of things, a lot of good things can happen. So, and Kyren's a guy that this whole organization can trust, and that's such a trustworthy position to be a punt returner or a kick returner, but really a punt returner. And, so you do that for the betterment of this organization.
You have 2 number ones in Cooper and Puka, but both of them being healthy, how much of a boon is it to the offense?
Yeah, they're, like you just said, they're 1s, 2s, 3s, whatever. They're just really productive when they're on the field, and they're productive because they're really good receivers. They know how to separate within their own body, but they also compete at the highest level, and again, that's the way they compete, brings everyone else along. So just having those guys on the field makes every single person better because, they don't want to let those guys down.
As much as you want to maximize Kyren's touches, how much, if at all, does that impact, the way you want to use him, knowing that he's also going to be out there?
Yeah, I think that organically just kind of play itself out. Who knows how many. Hopefully it is a lot of punt returns, obviously, when we get out there on Sunday, but you never know. And you never know how the guy's going to kick them. So I think that's just an organic thing. Kyren knows his body. Ron does an amazing job of subbing these guys in and out when they need a breather. So I think we'll kind of be able to answer that question as we get a little bit more data with it.
You burst onto the scene last year. Now you get to return punts. As a playmaker, what excites you about being able to be the punt returner?
Being who I am, like you just said, I get to make more plays, and so I feel like that's just gonna be able to show everybody else what more I can do in this game of football. Being able to play in a lot of green grass and have a lot of space, and get good blocks from my jammers up front. To get those punts started. But I'm excited to be able to show another phase of football that I can play.
What sparked this? Was it you wanting the opportunity? Was it a coach's thing? How did this sort of come about?
I think it was a coach's decision, mostly because, I remember at the beginning of camp, Coach McVay came up to me and said, make sure you're catching punts. If it comes down to it, I want you being the guy. And so that's what he told me from the beginning of camp. And so that's just I knew already kind of in a way that there could be a chance that I do this. And then, when the 53 came out and the coaches made the decision that, I was going to be the starter, it wasn't a surprise to me.
What was it like kind of going through the whole process of learning this?
Learning to catch. Well, I've been catching punts. I feel like that's something I do naturally. I played baseball as a young kid, so that's tracking the ball and the fly to the air. That's not really difficult to me, or catching the ball or anything like that. So it's just, I guess, getting more reps at it. Being able just to see the game, see the ball off the punter's foot. And I did a little bit of it last year too, at the beginning of the year. So I have some experience in the NFL as well doing it. So I'm just excited to be able to make more plays.
You've also been working on kickoff return too. How different does that look, when you're back there and seeing that play develop in front of you?
It's like more of like a run play. If it's like your lineman out in front of you blocking, it's not really, you don't really see many people, penetrators and stuff like that, because they're in that 5 yards distance. So I feel like it's more just reading holes and being able to press and cut and seeing the game like that. But it's nothing different from running like a mid zone or an outside zone.
Besides the baseball background, you obviously also have a background as a wide receiver. How did those two things, as well as obviously your skill set and background with what you've done at running back, how does that translate and help with punt return duties as well?
I think that's just I think it all kind of contributes all into one. I don't really know how specifically as a running back or as a receiver or as a baseball player that helps me be a better punt returner. I just feel like that all just kind of enhances all in one. I got to be able to catch the ball like a receiver, and then when I catch the ball, be able to run the ball like a running back. So that's just my focus. It's just getting that first down. Honestly, get 10 yards. If I get more, by the grace of God, thank you. But I'm going for 10. That's about it.
When you guys ended last season, Detroit, same place you're going to start this year. When you think back to that loss, what comes to mind?
Man, for me, it's like an anger and a disappointment in myself because I didn't get to finish the game. You know, I feel like I was just getting hot as an offense. We were just getting hot, especially in the run game. We were able to open it up in the fourth quarter, and so we were really starting to roll. And I wasn't able to finish that game. So for me, it's just a little bit of all the mixed emotions. You know, I'm excited to get back to be able to prove to them what I can do, but also what we weren't able to do, last year, and that's to come out with on top like we were supposed to last year. But for me personally, it's just being able to get back and just being able to go to work.
Just a couple more guys. The shift in philosophy that you guys made in terms of the running game last year, the second half of the season. How conscious were you of this might be a little bit different, and how did you embrace that?
As far as what?
Just just going at people.
Yeah. I guess you mean the duos and whatnot. But no, I feel like that's like a tone setter. Like we got to a mentality to where we're gonna run the ball. You might know we're gonna run the ball, but we're still gonna run the ball. And so that's just the mentality that we kind of developed over the course of last year. Going on throughout the season. I feel like that we're still working on. We're still getting to that point now. But it's fun when it's like that. When we control the controllables, and we're able to play on our terms.
It's like to start the season at a new home.
It's awesome. This is. I'd say I've been waiting for 2 years, but everybody else has been waiting for 8 years. So, I'm excited. I live right down the street, so this for me it's an easy, friendly commute. I don't got to see much traffic anymore, thank goodness. But it's fun, it's cool, and it's I'm excited.
Does the heat make a difference?
Nah, if you play ball, you play ball, and if it's cold, hot, warm, sunny, don't matter.
Two more guys.
Hey,
but yeah.
Kyren, Sean spoke earlier in camp about how impressed he was with they draft a running back and you come in and you're showing him the ropes while also, they're figuring out what the workload's going to look like with you as a starter and all of that. How's it been for you embracing and being in that role as well as pushing yourself to reach another step this year?
Yeah, it's fun, because it's a challenge, I haven't faced in the NFL. Maybe I faced it in college once or twice, but in the NFL I haven't faced it. I was able to get my opportunity last year. I was able to do what I do, but then now I wouldn't say I have to, but I'm able to get to share those opportunities with other guys who are just as good, if not better than what I do. And so I'm excited for that. I'm excited to get to work with those guys, be able to show them the ways, because I got a good feel for this game. I know this game. I say that confidently that I'm a football player. Like I know what to do. I know how to do this, and so for me it's just like giving back in a way. Somebody did that for me, so why not do that for them? And it's we're creating a bond while doing that, so it makes it much more fun when big plays happen. You get more excited for somebody when you're closer with them.
Do you think you will feel the coaches talk about like sometimes they have to save you from yourself because you want to go so hard all the time and do so much extra. Do you think as time passes you might feel a difference in your body for the positive of being protected from yourself a little bit?
That's the idea of it. Yeah, for sure. But again, I still think we're playing football. So those things just come along. But I feel like I would hope that that it works out to be that way. Her works out to allows us to we're all to keep fresh. We're all able to hit it going full speed. But we'll see as the season goes on.
The offensive line, has some uncertainty on it. Does that change anything for you as a running back?
No, heck no. I got confidence in all my guys. I don't care who it is up front. The starters, the non-starters, the undrafted, the drafted. It don't matter. We're gonna get to work, and we're gonna along the way we're gonna get better. Even if it's not there where it is right now, we're gonna get there. And we're gonna have the confidence to believe to get there. So, heck no. I like bringing people along like that.
I like it down here. A little toastier, but it's all good.
Speaking of changes,
Yeah.
what you learn, if anything, from Ernest, and it looks like you're kind of the next guy up to take that spot. How does that feel to kind of step into that role?
Yeah, we're going to miss E. He's one of my best buddies on the team, and just kind of trusting and the process and how things unfold every year, and that, Coach is going to do the right thing that puts us in the best position to win week in and week out, and ultimately have the best team by the end of the year. So going to miss him a lot. Learned a lot from him leadership-wise, and we have different play styles, but I think there was a lot of fun we had, especially real early on when Ernest as a rookie and me in my third year was, we were just bouncing things off of each other. There were things he did well coming in that I was like, man, I can learn a little bit from him, and then he was learning stuff from me just as a 3-year vet with a lot of experience. And when I was able to come back last year, it was kind of just picked up where we left off and had a lot of fun in our room. We got a great room of just human beings in general. And, you know, we're going to miss them a lot.
What do you think, 5 years in now, what do you think you bring to this role? Maybe the biggest role going season that you've had.
Yeah, I mean, six for me, so can't shortchange it. Yeah, it's hard enough to get one, man. You know, honestly, I joked when I came back last year was, you know, I learned so much when I was here in my first 3 years, and then moving on is difficult. You know, it was exciting, and you know, it was a good opportunity at the time, but like this is, you know, kind of the place that raised me, and learned a lot when I was here. But I joked as I came back that it felt almost like I had studied abroad, and you know, I got to play for Coach Staley again, and who was a great D coordinator and had put new twists and turns on the defense than we had in 2020, and then went to Minnesota and played for a really great D coordinator in Brian Flores, and completely different, flipped 180 degrees in the opposite direction, and got to learn a lot from him too. And so I feel like, you know, just as a player, it gave me perspective on a lot of things, and taught me a lot about, you know, what works versus different things that maybe we don't have here, and how we can implement it, or how I can just implement it in my own game. And in the process, I played with really good players, different guys at different positions that I was able to take things from their game and different things like that, that when I was able to come back, I felt like it was a great opportunity to, you know, restart here, and with a whole new perspective on things, having seen multiple other places, and you know, now in this role now, which, you know, I've been here before. I'm excited for the opportunity, and I'm excited about this team and what we're going to be able to do this year.
What excites you about getting that vote of confidence from the organization?
Yeah, I mean, I think one thing for me, and it's kind of how I've approached my entire career, was, you know, every camp I come in, like, you know, there's really no guarantees for anything, you know, whether you're starter, backup, punt guard, or on the team. And I just approach every day like it's an opportunity to get better, a little bit better every single day. And I just, you know, I have so much trust in Sean and Coach Shula and Chase Blackburn, and you know, that they're going to do what's best for this team. And ultimately, I think winning a Super Bowl in whatever capacity you play is the most fun I've ever had in a sports season, and honestly one of the highlights of my entire life. So, you know, ultimately, like now in my 6th year, that's kind of all I think about is getting back to that point. And you know, I just, every day I come out, and whatever is going to help this team get to that point, whether it's starting and playing every snap, or being the best punt guard or tackle and rusher in the league, that's my goal every day.
Does coming back to Los Angeles feel like a homecoming?
Yeah, it has. You know, so much familiarity. Teams changed a lot, but what's really cool is they give these guys a lot of credit. They bring in the same type of guys here. So, you know, it's different faces, but it's the same culture. And in my opinion, culture comes first, and then you get the wins and all the success that comes with that. So.
Troy, excuse me, I'm sorry. You've had 6 camps and a lot of experience. It did seem like this year, watching in the joint practices and all of that, you were really pushing to maybe take another step in a variety of ways. Did you set that upon yourself to try to do that, even in, you know, as much tenure as you have, and how did you do that, if so?
Yeah, I mean, this is probably the healthiest off season I've had since really the 2020 off season, or 2021 off season leading into the Super Bowl season. And you know, that Super Bowl year is, you play a lot of games, and like I think you maybe saw it with the team that year, and I wasn't here, but was almost going through a similar thing personally, where it was, you know, I felt like I wasn't the player I quite could be, and, you know, how can I get back to that point, and what can I do? And I was able to get back to that point probably right around the time that I started playing some defense last year around the bye week, where it was like the first time in really a year and a half that I was like, you know, they track our velocities and our different things that were like, hey, like you are kind of where you were in 2021. And it was ironic, but it was also when I started feeling really good back out on the field and in everything you do. And you know, when you're healthy and have a full off season to prepare and train, you know, you're able to come back in shape and with a body of work in camp. And yeah, like I said, nothing's really changed besides just attacking every day with that in mind.
Understanding maybe some of the mixed emotions that come with stepping into a role like this, when you factor that in as well as just your journey that you kind of talked about earlier over the last couple of seasons, you know, how do you process that as you step into this role?
Yeah, you know, it's funny. It was really nice just coming home last night, and you know, I have a son now, and my wife was just home, and we just sat down, had a nice, normal dinner, and it just felt like, because of how they train you here, and that you're ready for whatever opportunity you get, whether it's mid-season, the end of the season, or right now before the season starts. So, you know, just the perspective in life, I think, is something that the older you get, you kind of just feel that, you know, there's so many things bigger than just football, but at the same time, you're like, this is your family too, and it's a really big honor to be able to be out there with those guys and try and be a leader the best you can be for them, and play to the best of your ability. So yeah, I'm excited for it, and I think the guys around here are just excited to play against somebody other than ourselves. So
Chris, how has becoming a father influenced your approach towards the game?
I mean, it's crazy because you just really feel like you're doing it every single day for somebody other than yourself. And you know, I felt that way with my wife before we had a son, but you know, every day you just kind of think, yeah, this is, you know, my son's going to go back and watch these games one day, and you know, he's going to tell his friends that, you know, this is what your dad did, and just give him something that my father gave me, which was that, you know, you can do anything through hard work and dedication. No matter where you start in life, you're able to reach anything you can, and you don't have to be the most talented or most gifted person, but the hardest workers, and hard work pays off. So
Chris was saying that he, you know, expects to keep the green dot in the linebacker room. What would be your comfort level with that responsibility?
Yeah, you know, I've done it a lot before. I carried it for several games in the playoffs in 2023, 2022 playoffs. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, I do it every day in practice, and I think I can communicate at the highest level possible, and I'd appreciate that confidence in me.